You usually expect to be able to see a variety of animals when you visit a zoo, but watching a man jump into the animal enclosure isn't normally included with the cost of admission. Still, in 1990, a crowd spotted one such disturbance in the ape pen and were soon witnesses to something truly amazing.
Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
Haram the gorilla continues to be a hot topic thanks to his controversial killing back in May 2016. But back in 1990, the Detroit Zoo in Michigan became the focus of national acclaim after one of its visitors actually prevented a tragedy instead of being at the center of one. This year, hundreds of people were flocking to Detroit Zoo's new outdoor chimpanzees exhibit. As you may have noticed, the word Harambee comes from Swahili and is a rallying cry. It means to pull together in Eastern Africa to progress your team. After all, chimpanzees are usually boisterous, and with 20 apes in Detroit's new enclosure, the attraction was full of energy. According to the famous primatologist Jane Goodall, Jojo had lived for 15 years in a cage by himself. He was then relatively new to socializing with other chimps at the zoo. One of the new young males decides to challenge the senior male. Goodall explained in a presentation on chimpanzee behavior some years later, "Well, the senior male is Jojo. You have to learn how to behave from your society, and Jojo hadn't had the opportunity. He was so little when he was captured. Therefore, the younger chimp's aggressive behavior was completely new to Jojo, who didn't know how to cope with the situation. When this young male starts swaggering and bristling and standing upright and hurling rocks, Jojo is absolutely terrified, and he runs into the water because he doesn't know anything about water either," Goodall described. In fact, the Chimps of Haram exhibit was built with a deep moat to keep the apes from escaping. Indeed, chimps usually don't go near water in the wild, and for many years great ape enclosures were built on the assumption that the primates couldn't swim. While this assumption is not technically correct, chimpanzees can learn to swim, for example, with the help of human instructors in a pool. Most wild great apes that find themselves in deep water will likely drown. This is because chimps are mostly muscle and naturally sink. Humans, on the other hand, have a layer of fat to keep them buoyant. So, Jojo didn't realize what he was doing when he ran into the water and found himself suddenly in over his head, literally. The crowd of visitors could only watch in horror as the chimps struggled in the water. The zoo wardens, meanwhile, did nothing, but insists that no one should intervene due to the danger of the situation. Thankfully for Jojo, Rick Swope, a 33-year-old truck driver from Cement City, Michigan, ignored the zookeepers. Everyone in the whole place was just standing around watching this chimp drown, Swope told Deseret News the following day. "When he went down the second time, I knew I had to do something." Indeed, the husband and father of 3 leapt into action. He quickly jumped into the enclosure and dived in after the drowning Jojo. He lost his grip, however, and the chimp disappeared from sight under the murky moat's water. Zoo staff warned him to get out, but Swope wouldn't give up on Jojo, and the crowd of visitors cheered his rescue efforts. People were pointing out which direction he was in. He told the Chicago Tribune, "The water was so dirty you couldn't see through it. I swam around on the bottom. Finally, I found him." At 135 pounds of solid muscle in the form of dead weight, Jojo can't have been easy to pull to the surface of the cold water, but somehow Swope succeeded. "He was pretty lifeless, but you could see he was still alive," Swope said. The moat water was almost as deep as Swope was tall, but drowning wasn't the only danger Jojo, brave rescuer, was at risk from in the ape enclosure. After all, chimps are very dangerous. They're 7 times stronger than humans and fiercely territorial. For the moment then, Swope was safer in the moat. And luckily for Swope, Jojo didn't show any aggression to his rescuer. "He was looking at me. I think he knew what was going on," Swope told the Chicago Tribune. "The chimp never made any attempt to do anything to me." After a struggle, Swope managed to get the great ape up the clay bank to dry land. "I was thinking, what do you do now? Do you do mouth-to-mouth on a chimp?" I remember thinking he might bite me if I did that, Swope said. But now that he was clear of the water, he had other dangers in the form of the rest of the chimps of Haram. Thankfully, Swope noticed the arrival of the other chimps before it was too late. I looked up and saw there was another one coming down the hill with his teeth bared. I didn't know if he was going after the other monkey or after me, but I got the hell out of there, he said. The day after Jojo's rescue, the then director of Primatologist Goodall's Institute rang up Swope to ask why he had acted, even when he was told not to. Swope replied, "I happened to look into his eyes, and it was like looking into the eyes of a man, and the message was, 'Won't anybody help me?'" Animal enthusiast news site The Dodo tried to get a recent update from Swope, but he was unavailable for comment. Moreover, Jojo's final fate also remained a mystery. Certainly, the Detroit Zoo's website mentions the names of 11 chimps currently under their care. Of course, Jojo wasn't found at the time this video was created, but her story is an inspirational one. Swope, though, has always remained modest in his actions. It was no big deal. It wasn't that hard. It didn't take an exceptional person to do it. If it did, I couldn't have done it. He told the Chicago Tribune that modesty is the mark of a true hero.